Welcome to RU McNair Table Talk, where we tell stories that inspire.
Can you introduce yourself and also kind of let us know about your academic journey?
Yeah, so my name is Alfredo Guzman. I am currently a second year PhD student here in the Pharmaceutical Sciences program at Binghamton University here in New York. But my journey started at Roosevelt University, where I completed both my bachelor's and master's degrees in biology and biomedical science. So, as a first generation college student and now first generation PhD student, navigating higher education was definitely not straightforward for me, as Franziska can probably tell all of you guys. At times, I didn't know what was possible or what direction I should take, but what really shaped my journey was getting involved in research early on. I realized I enjoyed asking questions and figuring out how to solve them in the lab, and that curiosity is what kept me going through grad school.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. What do you feel like actually inspired you to join the program at the time that you joined? Because I know you were still figuring kind of things out, really seeing where you land, and where you fell.
Yeah, my case was very unique because I originally was planning to go to medical school, but honestly, preparing for those exams and really seeing how much it was going to take out of me, I did not feel like I was going to be happy pursuing that path. I think it was my junior year when I first heard about McNair, and what stood out to me was that it was specifically created to support students who, like me, didn't have a clear roadmap to grad school, or I guess what they wanted to do. I knew I was interested in research and further education, but I didn't know how to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. So what inspired me to join was seeing other students who were part of McNair. So students who looked like me, came from similar backgrounds, seeing that they were presenting their research at conferences or talking about PhD programs. I personally found that powerful, and it made me realize that I didn't need to figure everything out on my own, and that there was a community out there to help me reach that second step.
What do you feel like was kind of most impactful through the duration of your McNair experience? Of course, like you heard like speakers and things like that, but is there kind of a moment where you really went, okay, so this is where I'm going to shift a little bit?
I guess if I had to decide or choose one, it definitely would be seeing peers who look like me. I just feel like in academia, especially on all the papers and presentations I've seen, the amount of people from at least my background was not that much really in number. I think I've only seen one other person, and it honestly, I guess I felt like I needed to be a voice for other people in my community. I feel like seeing that even from whatever background I come from, I'm able to achieve just as much as anybody else. I think that's one of the things that helped me push towards that more and more.
Um, and like you did it right, like you did the things that
Don't
you said
jinx it.
you do on the route to doing the things. What do you feel like you kind of like learned from the most, kind of like during, the figuring it out, kind of during, the writing, the restructuring kind of like your educational pathway?
Um, Gosh, that's a very huge question to ask. Um, I don't know. I feel like just getting used to putting myself out there was a huge, I guess, step for me. I know the program definitely helped me get out of my comfort zone, and I know Alejandra can definitely back me up on that because she was one of those people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like the program definitely did help me get out of that comfort zone. And basically prove that I am worthy of being in this, I guess, this group.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely like hard, but I think it was beautiful to witness you actually like taking initiative and like going to the extra networking things, actually like going up to people, giving your business card. I think like it really just solidified that you were very certain that this was something that like you wanted to do, and like you were always worthy of the experience, and I think all students are. I think it's just really, I guess, like knowing that for yourself, like
Yeah.
really acknowledging the fact that like you're meant to be in those rooms. And it was great to see you like step up and like really like own some of these spaces. Like you really walked in, and like I remember one time you were in your suit and you really just walked in like, I got this. I'm good. I don't need direction from here. You walked straight in. I think that was like such like a beautiful thing to just like witness,
Yeah.
because there was a time where you would never do that.
Oh, definitely.
Like, yeah.
Before Jody McNair, I definitely would not. I hate public speaking.
Yeah.
And I think McNair I still hate public speaking, but I think McNair drilled it into me that the more I just throw myself out there and do it, the more I'll get used to it.
Yeah. And I think you did. I think you really started getting like very comfortable doing it, even if you didn't like it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could not tell if you were ever nervous. Like, it was just really becoming like second nature for you to be doing these things. It was worth it. That's all I'm saying. What do you feel like is some kind of current advice that you think the scholars would need to hear, whether they're considering going straight into the route that they're already on or doing kind of a 360?
I guess one of the main things that I want scholars to know is, I guess one of the main things they need to get used to is not underestimating themselves. Graduate school can feel intimidating, and following this path is more than intimidating, honestly, and I still feel that way. But programs like McNair exist because they believe in our potential, even if we personally don't see it yet. I feel like just in general, all the skills that I gained from McNair, I still use them on the daily. Essentially, like the writing skills I built up with McNair, even the confidence that I gained from presenting at research conferences has helped me move forward in my journey right now. Yeah, I just feel like students need to be willing to learn. You're not going to know everything from the start. I think that's one of the big things that students are scared of, is that other people are smarter or that they don't know enough. And honestly, I still feel the same way. I don't know everything, but I'm willing to go that extra mile to learn and ask questions, which I think is a very powerful tool for anyone going into this.
Yeah, and I think that's a skill too. I think people tend to appreciate somebody who is really learning to just ground themselves and like just like learn new things. I think they see it as that person has longevity. Like they're willing to just like put themselves in like uncomfortable positions if it means like they're learning. They're willing to just take a beat and say, I don't know. They're not coming in anticipating that they're about to take over, but that they're really actually contributing to it like step by step. And I think honestly, it's probably one of the best skills that you can have is to actually be teachable. Because honestly, like that's how you get your mentors, right? Like they saw something, they were like, they seem like they're willing, they seem like they're wanting to do this. Like I will gladly take them on. I think that's part of finding like your community and people who can authentically actually support you. But speaking of support, I think one major thing that can be a little difficult to manage is kind of figuring out how you're going to finance your future. And especially like for our students. So like, how do you feel like you kind of navigated like that space, finding fellowships, finding like, you know, TA? Like what was kind of the I guess, the bread and butter of like how you figured out you were going to actually make your graduate degree happen?
Yeah, so a bunch of that is still currently happening at the moment, trying to figure out how to finance everything, especially with our current political climate that's been even affecting us at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly, one thing that is noteworthy is that most PhD programs do provide funding.
Mhm.
At least most of the PhD programs that I've applied to or heard of usually provide a stipend for a student to basically have enough to live and pay for rent, pay for your food and
Yeah.
needs, as well as then them covering your tuition. That could vary from university to university how much they decide to give you, but usually as a part of that stipend, they require you to TA or be a grad assistant. Usually, yeah, they would either give you a position that you will follow for the rest of the semester or the year, and that's kind of their, like, they give you money, you do this for them. So in that regards, there is some funding there from these PhD programs. There are fellowships that universities do provide alongside that stipend. It's not meant to be I guess what I'm trying to say, it's not meant to be an additional source of funding. It's meant to, at least in my case, because I have currently received a fellowship here, what my fellowship essentially does is it essentially gets rid of my TA and GA responsibilities and just forces me to be in the lab doing research. I guess the easiest way to look into those programs is asking, once you get into a program, you would ask potential professors, potential faculty about opportunities that this university would have. Usually on their websites, they also have certain fellowships or grants that students can apply to. But honestly, I guess the easiest way to even get started in this would be to go ahead and ask those questions. I feel like if you're just quiet and you may have millions of questions, but if you don't ask them, then you're just never going to figure that out. I think it's important to go in asking these questions because honestly, those professors probably had those same exact questions when they started. Obviously, they may have had better financial resources, but the university is there to help you. That's why they want PhD students in the first place. Most PhD programs don't even let you hold an outside job, which is very important to know. So it's very important to look into what opportunities your schools may have for you and just taking advantage of everything. You might as, at least Alejandro and you definitely know this from my experiences, but apply to everything.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, applying to grad school wasn't easy for me, especially since I took 2 cycles to get into a PhD program. But honestly, if you see something you like, apply to it. There's no, the worst thing they can say is no. Best thing is you won't have to worry about money for the rest of your 5 years.
Yeah. I agree. I do think you just have to get comfortable asking. I think it's the thing, because it can be a little uncomfortable to be literally going and being like, hey, do you have money for me? Like,
Yeah.
it can feel a little weird, but I do think like it does put you in the best possible position, because I think once you kind of like exceed like all expectations and you're, really doing the work and you're really prioritizing like the experience, I do think it's easier to get renewal funding out of that experience.
Yeah.
Because they'll want to work with you again. They know how dedicated you are at that point. And then you also never know, right? Like they could offer for you to come back once you graduate and like have faculty position. Like those things can happen from that. So
yeah,
I do think that's important. What do you feel like you kind of continue to use from what you've learned from like McNair and just in like your undergraduate in general? Like, what do you feel like you still hold on to?
I guess one of the main things that I definitely use on a daily is those networking skills that I gain from conferences or even talking to my peers in McNair. Big part of PhD programs in general, and this could vary a bit, but it's for the most part true across the board. You're always going to be collaborating with other people, and it's a very important skill to have to be able to communicate your ideas with other people who might not even be in the same, I guess, lab as you or doing a different part of that research project.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to, I guess, present your ideas, exchange points of views is very important across the board throughout your PhD program. I guess that's one of the main things I definitely use constantly, even now. Definitely the writing skills that I gained from writing those personal statements comes a long way in these programs. Yeah, you might not be doing similar writing styles. It would be more papers and grant applications, but I guess getting used to writing long essays is generally helpful throughout this program, just because honestly there isn't that much help in these when it comes to writing. Obviously your professor will help as much as they can, but
Mm-hmm.
coming in with those fundamental skills is definitely helpful in the long run.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I think like ultimately, your experience is what you make of it, right? Like when you're in undergrad and definitely when you sign up for a program, what do you feel like you would say for scholars to kind of get like the most out of like their experience with McNair? Because I think sometimes like it is like hard to kind of like, find your grounding.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you say is something that you kind of notice that you have to do to really take advantage and get the most from the experience?
I think, and I think this will be true for anyone and everyone, is you can't be complacent with whatever you're doing at the moment. You need to find those opportunities to get out of your comfort zone, because grad school is everything. It's basically just all out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically forced to undergo challenges daily, basically.
Yeah.
And you, I guess, getting used to that from a start will kind of help you progress, even if you progress at a slow pace throughout your program. I just feel like it's definitely a shock for people who haven't been through those experiences, and I feel like McNair is one of those places where you can easily have those experiences without being worrying about other people judging you, because
Yeah.
everyone is going through that same experience. Everyone's very supportive of each other in McNair. No one is there to put you down. In contrast, everyone's there to support each other, and it's good to have that support throughout these moments, because honestly you might feel isolated throughout your PhD program depending on class size or how many people are in your lab. Personally, I think there's only one other PhD student in my lab
Mm-hmm.
who has different times, but I feel like getting used to struggling
Yeah.
but finding ways to overcome that is something you should start working on from now until whenever you're finished with your PhD, because you're never gonna stop.
Yeah. Which is a long time. Let me take that back. I feel like it goes by fast. I feel like when you're looking ahead to go to a PhD though, you're like, oh my God, like 5 to 7 years, like that's insane. And right, sometimes longer because life
Yeah.
happens. and things aren't always like within our control about that. But I do think it goes by fast. And I feel like, especially if you love what you're doing, like you blink and the first year is done and you're on to the next year. You know what I mean? Like, I think it, it's really important to like find what it is that like you actually want out of your degrees. Um, and for you, like, what do you feel like you really, that moment where you realize like this is what I want out of my degree, this is what I'm hoping to do. How did you kind of then like shape that to really kind of jumpstart you to actually getting to the program of your choice?
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of things that really inspired me throughout McNair. Definitely reshaped how I saw myself. Yes, before joining McNair, I saw graduate school as something, as you've mentioned, intimidating or maybe even out of reach for some students. Throughout McNair, I gained practical skills, like I've mentioned, but more importantly, I gained confidence in myself. Yes, one of the biggest impacts, as I've mentioned, was those presentations, since I've never done anything like that before. I guess one of the big things is confidence is something you definitely build throughout McNair. And I guess seeing, at least personally for me, I liked going into the lab and figuring out things that other people don't know. Even, and I think you guys know this, throughout my research experiences at Roosevelt, the amount of times that I failed my experiments. And I guess this is just a personal thing for me, but even when I failed, I found it as a positive since I learned something new. Overall, I think just those experiences, along with the confidence I built, helped me, I guess what's the right word? Those experiences essentially helped me further, basically told myself that I definitely want to pursue this. This is definitely something that I love doing. But you honestly have to figure out if this is something you really want to do, because it's not an easy program to pursue. You have to understand that you're going to be committing to this for years and years, and you have to find ways to keep yourself motivated. That could either be finding outside activities to do, which is what I tend to do because, well, when I have time, because usually I'm in the lab from morning to night.
That's great advice. Sorry. Okay. Do you have any kind of like final like quote for them? Final quote of encouragement?
Gosh, you're trying to make me do one quote of everything that I could tell them. I guess if I had to sum everything up, you don't need to have everything figured out. Programs are looking for potential and persistence, so trust that the preparation that you're getting is enough.
Yeah. Wow. I think that's a great way to end this. Thank you so much, Alfredo. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you as always. You know that. And thank you for giving us our first episode.
You're welcome.